Alright guys, so welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over how to train our forearms to get them to look like Popeyes. If you guys don't know who Popeye is, he's this cartoon character. I'll probably show a picture of him somewhere here. And he has huge forearms, and he loves the spinach. And I'm going to show you the secrets to getting forearms as big as his, and big dense forearms for carrying stuff. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so when we're looking at the forearm, it's built of a few muscles. It's built of exactly, let me see what I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 muscles, the forearm, with the main one being the brachioradialis. The brachioradialis is this muscle here that you can see that's separate on the top part of my forearm. That's the biggest muscle in your forearm, and the one that you're going to be training the most out of all of the other ones, since it's the one that gives it the most thickness, the most visual effect. We train the brachioradialis through any sort of pulling movement in neutral grip. So neutral grip, pull-ups, pull-downs, and cable rows are all different forms of training for the brachioradialis, which would increase the size of our forearms. Although despite this being the biggest muscle in the forearm, there's still other muscles that are in the forearm. Like I said, there's 7, so there's still like 6 other muscles. And if we want to train all the muscles, what we really want to do is have some sort of consistent tension going through the arm, which we usually get from hanging, what's it called? Pull-ups, and even neutral grip pull-ups. Neutral grip pull-ups are amazing for form because you're training a lot of the brachioradialis, and you're also training all the other smaller muscles in the forearm. But because brachioradialis is also responsible for flexion across the elbow joint, similar to like the bicep, but it's only when we have our wrist like this, which looks kind of weird. But it's more prone to growth if we do it with a pulling movement, neutral grip. But since we're holding onto something when we're doing it, pull up, we get the same type of tension across all the other muscles in the forearm. That help stabilize the weight of our bodies. We also get this type of workout when we're doing across the other muscles, not the brachioradialis as much, when we're doing any sort of rows or deadlifts, since we're holding heavy weight on our arms, and it's these little tiny muscles all across the forearms, like whatever this is. This is the what is this one called? Carpenter uratus. That's what this thing's called. I have an anatomy chart here so I can see exactly what the different parts of the body are when we're looking at the forearms, and help me give a better description of all the muscles. But all these different muscles in the forearm are really responsible for more or less the same thing, minus brachioradialis. That's what's responsible for flexion across this area. If we're doing any sort of movement where we're pulling ourselves up like this, or we're pulling some sort of weight or curling, hammer curls, we'd also be training our brachioradialis. But most people would prefer to train their biceps over the brachioradialis, so it typically would focus more on regular bicep curl if you want to get more bicep growth, since the brachioradialis takes a lot of load off of the bicep, and the bicep is typically more visually appealing than the brachioradialis, although I personally think the brachioradialis looks cooler. But out of all the workouts that I see that are the best for training the forearm, I'd say the farmer carry is probably the best, along with pull-ups and hanging. It's also really good. But if you do farmer carries, you're training all the forearm muscles all at once. You're holding the weight constantly, consistently stabilizing your forearm, so the weight moving around in your hands. And if you're walking with the weight, it makes it extra hard, and you keep that tension over a period of time, which is TUT, time under tension. And if you've guys seen any of my other videos, you should know that when you're really trying to promote muscle growth and promote protein muscle synthesis, what's it called, growth hormone response, and all this other stuff, you really, really want TUT. More time under tension, it creates a stronger stimulus. So the more TUT we have, the better. And you get the most out of it with doing farmer carry, walking around, and you also train the muscles in the forearm in a unique way with the added movement since you have more trouble balancing the weight and you have to put more effort into holding the weight than if you're just standing still holding the weight, which would also be good. But if you're moving, you're training your forearm in more ways. It gives tension across it better. And you can go back and look at my kettlebell video, which is similar and explains how tension in the muscle across different what's it called, directions, trains the different types of muscles and the larger muscles. We often consider a muscle to be as one muscle, but most things we consider to be one muscle are actually 2 or 3 muscles. And I'm sure that there's some muscles in the forearm that are only really trained when you're moving around. It adds that extra sort of rotational tension on the forearm, and we need something to stabilize that. So I'm sure that that's the only way you train some of those muscles in the forearm. So it makes sense to be doing that when you're doing the farmer's carry. And when you're doing hanging, if you're just doing regular hanging, it's not going to work as well as if you're doing rock climbing, for example, because then you're moving around and you're putting more tension across your hands. And that would probably be even better, considering these sorts of tensions that you want to have on your arm to get the most growth in your forearms. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. It's a shorter video than normal. So we're only covering one muscle. But thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're doing something new. Hopefully this will help you guys get this huge Popeye forearms. And yeah, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in the next one, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.